Now, going into the study, which also assesses the top 50 members of parliament, national quantitative survey method was used with a sample size of 21,169 registered voters above 18 years being involved. The random multi-stage stratified sampling was used, and the population was proportionate to the population of that particular area. The method that was used in accessing this data was telephonic interviews at the household levels. Now, the margin of error was plus or negative 1.345% at 95 confidence level. National varied at regional level with an average of plus or minus 4%. Now, the total key demographic setting, or gender and age, was further constituted and broken down into 8 regions so that we could be able to have a more robust analysis of the whole data that you are collecting. Looking at the demographics, 54% of the respondents who were involved in this study were male and 46% were female. Now, looking at the age brackets going up was 18% were 55 and above, 22% were 45 and up to 54 years, 26% involved in the study were between the ages of 35 to 44, and between the ages of 18 to 34, we had a 34% representation in the study. The setting was majorly on the rural sector, with 55% of the respondents coming from the rural area and 45% coming from the urban areas. Looking at the levels of income, those with no income were 6%. Those with less than 10,000 monthly income were 22%. Those with an income between 10,000 and 25,000 were 33%. Those with an income of between 25,000 to 40,000 were 24%. And those with an income of 40,000 to 55,000 were 9%. 55,000 to 75,000 and above were 5%, and above 75,000 we had 1%. Now we go to the first aspect that we covered, which was looking at the government preparedness for the El Nino rains. Now, due to the 3-year La Nina period, we've been able to receive predictions from the Meteorological Department and even on the 30th of July concerning the fact that between October to December, we will be going through the El Nino rains, and it has been said and predicted that it will be rather similar to the rains that we experienced in 1997. If we look back at that, it becomes a matter of concern to the public, because in 1997 through to 1998, and also in 2006, we saw a lot of losses coming about because of the rains. So we look at this as a case study and looking at the current government of the day. What are they doing to try and make sure that everyone is safe? How are the people responding? How are they seeing the government in its efforts? So we pose the following question: do you think the government is well prepared to mitigate the effects of the El Nino rains? Now, in our study, 18% were not sure whether the government is prepared to mitigate the impacts of the predicted rains. 34% said no. They don't think the government is prepared for the forthcoming rains. And 48% say that yes, the government, they are seeing efforts which are positive towards mitigating the effects, possible effects of the El Nino rains. Now, based on our survey, 48% of Kenyans perceived government preparedness for El Nino response and impact mitigation being moderate. Now, this suggests that on average, respondents believe that the government is moderately prepared for addressing El Nino-related challenges and mitigating its effects. Now, we go on to the regional side, now looking at the 48% who are saying that they view the government as being on course in addressing and rather mitigating the challenges that may come about due to the upcoming rains between October and December. Now, looking at Rift Valley, 25.2% were able to bring out their views in that in the whole study of the 48%. Nairobi had 22.1%. Central Region had 20.1%, Western Region had 14.2%, The northeastern region, which is also a region which is expected to rather receive more than normal levels of rainfall, had 10.5% saying the government is prepared, 4.3% from the coastal region, and 2.1% from the eastern region, which is a region which is expected to actually have a lot of rainfall, which is something that can be used maybe to be able to bolster farming in these areas. They see that the government is rather not on point in matters of mitigating and actually utilizing even the rains that may come about. Nyanza had 1.5% of the respondents saying that the government is rather showing that they don't have the confidence that the government is on in matters of mitigating the possible impacts of the El Nino rains, or rather even being able to tap on the positive benefits that may come about because of this. Now, away from that, we move into the second aspect of our study. Now, here it is within the political arena with a breakdown of the top 20 members of parliament. Now, going into this, we begin straight up with the one who had the 20th position, which was a position that was shared, and it was shared between the Keio North Elgeyo Marakwet Member of Parliament, that is Adams Kipsanai, who had 71.2%, an approval rating that was issued by the constituents of Keio North Elgeyo Marakwet. The position was shared with the Molo MP, that is Honorable Kuria Kimani, who also had a 71.2% approval rating from the residents of Molo constituency within Nakuru County. Moving on to the 19th position, which was held by Starehe MP within Nairobi County, that is Honorable Amos Mwago, who had 71.6%, an approval rating that was issued by the constituents of Starehe within Nairobi County. Coming in within the 18th slot was Runyenjes Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Mushangi Karemba, Runyenjes in Embu County. Mushangi was able to secure a 72.1% approval rating, which was based on his activities within the county, within the constituency rather of Runyenjes. Moving on, we go to the 17th slot, which was taken by Kacheliba West Pokot Member of Parliament, that is Titus Loti, who was able to acquire a 72.3% approval rating from the members, or rather the constituents of that particular constituency. Moving on to the 16th spot, which was held by Mogochio Member of Parliament, that is Ruben Kiborek, who had 72.7%, an approval rating that was leveled on him by the constituents of Mogochio constituency in Baringo. Moving on to the 16th position also, we had the MP for Lafi in Mandera County, that is Honorable Abdikhair Mohammed, who had an approval rating of 72.7%. That was an approval rating that was issued to him by the constituents of Lafi in Mandera County who were involved in this particular study. Moving on to the 15th slot, which was held by Nyaribari Chache, Member of Parliament in Kisii County, that is Zahir Janda, who was able to acquire an approval rating of 73.1%. That is from the constituents of Nyaribari Chache in Kisii County. Going to the 14th slot, it came back to Nairobi, held by Dagoretti South Member of Parliament, that is Honorable John Kiarie, who was able to obtain an approval rating of 73.4% from the residents of Dagoretti South constituency. Moving on to the 14th slot also, it was also shared by Kiminini Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Kakai Bisau, who was able to garner an approval rating of 73.4% from the residents of Kiminini constituency in Trans Nzoia County. Moving on to the 13th spot, which went to Konoin Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Brighton Yegon from Bomet County, who was able to garner an approval rating of 73.6%, issued to him by the residents of Konoin constituency within Bomet County. Moving on to the 12th spot, which was again held within Nairobi County by Embakasi West Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Mureithi Mwenje, who was able to garner an approval rating of 73.9%, an approval rating that was issued to him by the residents of Embakasi West constituency within Nairobi County. Moving on to the 12th slot also, which was shared. It was shared by the Mbeere North Member of Parliament within Embu County, that is Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, who also had an approval rating of 73.9% being issued upon him by the residents of Mbeere North constituency within Embu County. Moving on to the 11th slot, which was held by South Imenti Member of Parliament, that is Shadrack Mwiti, who had an approval rating of 74%, being issued on him by the residents of South Imenti constituency within Meru County. Honorable Shadrack Mwiti was able to garner 74%. Okay, now we move on to another particular legislator who shared the 11th slot, that is South Mugirango Member of Parliament, Honorable Silvanus Osoro from Kisii County, was also able to garner an approval rating of 74% from the constituents of South Mugirango constituency within Kisii County. Honorable Silvanus Osoro was able to acquire an approval rating of 74%. Now we move into the top 10 among the members of Parliament based on their approval rating from their constituents. And at the 10th position, we have a Rangwe Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Lilian Gogo, who was able to acquire an approval rating of 75.7%. Now, among the top projects that were mentioned by the constituents who gave her this approval rating was the purchase of the Rangwe NGCDF buses in school bus at St. Stephen Angiro Mixed Secondary School, Atego Mixed Secondary School, St. Paul Aucha Mixed Secondary Schools, enhancement of education infrastructure, free and fair issuance of bursaries, constructions of Rangwe Sub-County Headquarters, among others, that were able to issue her an approval rating of 75.7% from the residents of Rangwe constituency within Homa Bay County. Now, within that same slot, which was shared, it was shared between her, that is Lilian Gogo, and also the Kikuyu Member of Parliament, that is the Majority Leader, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, within Kiambu County. Now, among the projects that gave the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah an approval rating of 75.7% includes developing a school infrastructure within his constituency, and also the tarmacking and rehabilitation of various roads within the constituency, such as Gikambura Shopping Center roads, upgrade of Kidmafako, Kino 87, and Kino Chief roads, and also a free and fair issuance of bursaries. Now, this was something that was noted among the respondents, the free and fair issuance of bursaries. That was very common among the respondents within this study. And also moving on to the 9th position, which was held by Kinangop Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Kwenya Thuku. Kwenya Thuku was able to garner an approval rating of 75.9%. This coming about based with the constituency naming several projects, among them infrastructural development of schools within the constituency, the maintenance of roads, several water projects within the constituency, and also free and fair issuance of bursaries being the common factor there. And also moving on to the 8th slot, which went north, which went to Wajir South Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Mohammed Ado in Wajir County. Now, among the projects that gave Honorable Mohammed Ado an approval rating of 76.5% from the constituents of Wajir South constituency was the drilling of boreholes in several locations within his constituency, also the scholarship of students with a passion for teaching programs, and also the infrastructural development of schools within the constituency, and also free and fair allocation of bursaries. Moving on to the 8th position also, which was shared by Gatanga Member of Parliament within Murang'a County, that is Honorable Wakili Muriu, who was able to garner a 76.5% approval rating. And among the projects mentioned by the constituents involved in this particular study include the issuance of bursaries to needy students within Gatanga constituency, water projects across the constituency, and also the grading and graveling of roads within the constituency. All that garnering the Gatanga Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Wakili Muriu, an approval rating of 76.5%. Moving on to the 7th slot, which was held by Mopsop Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Abraham Kirwa, who was able to garner an approval rating of 77.3%. Now, among the projects that put this legislator within the 7th slot was the construction and maintenance of various roads and bridges within his constituency, the completion of a water project in Kamugei, also the free and fair issuance of bursaries for students within Mosop constituency. All these giving him an approval rating of 77.3% from the residents of Mosop constituency. Moving on, the 7th slot also shared by Unguja Member of Parliament, that the minority leader rather, that is Honorable Opio Wandai. Opio Wandai was able to garner an approval rating of 77.3% from the residents of Unguja constituency within Siaya County. Now, among the projects that were mentioned in relation to this particular legislator was the infrastructural development of learning institutions within the constituency, sponsorship of driving students, construction of Office of the Chief at Madugu sublocation and Madugu Police Post at Bugi Village in Sigomere Ward, and also the free and fair issuance of bursaries within Unguja constituency. All these giving the Honorable Opio Wandai an approval rating of 77.3% from the residents of his constituency. Moving on to the 6th position, which was held by Keio South Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Gideon Kimaiyo, was able to garner an approval rating of 77.5%. And among the projects that were noted being executed by this particular legislator included the grading and upgrading of several roads within the constituency, also the borehole projects across the constituency in several areas, infrastructural development in schools, and also the free and fair issuance of bursaries within the constituency. All these giving him an approval rating of 77.5%. That is Honorable Gideon Kimaiyo from the residents of Keio South constituency within Elgeyo Marakwet County. Now, within the 5th position, the 5th position went through to Nakuru County, held by Bahati Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Irene Joki. Irene Joki was able to garner an approval rating of 77.8%. And among the projects that were named by the constituents involved in this particular study include the construction and renovation of schools infrastructure, constructions and maintenance of roads within the constituency, the water projects also within the constituency, and also an Akiba and Mrembo empowerment program to try and bolster the economic strength of the residents of that particular constituency, giving Honorable Irene Joki an approval rating of 77.8%. That is the Bahati Member of Parliament, making the top 5 there. Also within the top 5 was Honorable Nabi Nabwera, that is the Lugari Member of Parliament, who was able to acquire an approval rating of 77.8%. Now, among the projects that were named in relation to this particular legislator included the construction and renovation of learning institutions, also the upgrading and rehabilitation of roads within the constituency. These were able to give the Honorable Nabi Nabwera, the Lugari Member of Parliament, an approval rating of 77.8%, making him clinch be among the top 5. Going to the 4th slot, which was held by the Kimilili Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Didmas Baraza, who was able to clinch the 4th spot. The approval rating is from a level of 1 to 10. That is how they issue their, from 1 to 10, where do you rate your Member of Parliament in matters of performance? So within, like specifically, let's look at Honorable Shadrack Mwiti. Within South Imenti constituency, the approval rating that was collected and tabulated in that area was 74.0%. You get me? So another area, what is the approval rating from the constituents of that particular constituency? So when you have a ranking of the top 20, it is a top 20 that was issued by the constituents of that particular constituency.
We have two independent questions, or rather 3 independent questions. And one is involving the El Nino response by the government. That is opined by the voters or the Kenyan voter. Then we also have the approval rating of the Member of Parliament and the Member of the Senate. So there are 3 independent questions. So they don't relate in any way. But some of the things that we really asked, and the things that were in the minds of the constituents of the respondents, and especially regarding the approval rating of the Members of Parliament, it includes the impact of the development projects they have initiated within the constituencies, the legislative prowess, interpersonal relations with the electorates, and free and fair allocation of bursaries. So, and we've given several summaries of, especially of the top 10 Members of Parliament, and then the things that were maybe that we looked in regarding the senators or the office of the Senate. It's the projects, it's the representative of the interests of the counties they represent, as well as the government that they represent. So that was in summary. So El Nino question is independent.